Coming up on tonight's UAP News Show.
UFO Secrets Unleashed. Congress's UAP hearing sparks must-ask questions.
Hey there, beautiful souls. It's your girl, Allie, and we are back at it again for another episode of UAP Society's weekly UAP News Show. I'm stoked to get started, so without further ado, Justin, say hey.
Greetings, cosmic enthusiast. It's Justin here, and let's dive right in.
Alrighty, up first, UFO Secrets Unleashed. Congress's UAP hearing sparks must-ask questions. All right, strap in UFO fans because the truth just hit warp speed. As you already know, on September 9th, 2025, Congress's Task Force on Declassification held their third UAP hearing, and it's got the whole community buzzing. Chairwoman Anna Paulina set the stage. Quote, "Forget sci-fi, this is about national security and the people's right to know," end quote. 5 fearless witnesses, U.S. Air Force's Jeffrey Nusatelli and Dylan Borland, the Navy's Alexandra Wiggins, journalist legend George Knapp, and Pogo rep Joe Spielberger spilled jaw-dropping secrets about hidden programs and unexplained phenomena fueling the disclosure fire like never before. But hold up, this hearing didn't just answer questions, it lit a fuse for the ones you must ask next. What's buried in those classified UAP files? Are whistleblowers safe to speak out? What tech is tracking these anomalies? Today, we're diving deep into the critical follow-up questions Congress and you need to demand answers for. The truth is closer than ever, so buckle up and let's crack this cosmic mystery wide open.
Let's kick things off with a sizzling hot X-post that's got the disclosure world on fire. It's from none other than whistleblower Matthew Brown. Yep, the legend who shook things up with the Immaculate Constellation report, and who's notorious for posting cryptic tweets that make your head spin.
That's for sure.
Well, he just unleashed a killer thread, laying out a bold game plan for what Congress and all of us should be demanding now that the hearings are over. It's a no-nonsense call to action, and we're going to pull on each piece of string and see where the conversation takes us.
Alrighty, so the first part says, the sworn testimony Congress received on September 9th could be the crack in the dam. UAP transparency is possible and coming into view. To keep momentum going, Congress and the public should not ignore these key questions raised by the 5 witnesses' testimony.
All right, now on to the second part of this 7-part thread. Who is operating the big black triangles? Why are they able to fly over the U.S. and Russian military assets with impunity? Is there a hidden pact between the superpowers, or is there a third force moving freely above both? Which, I mean, that's that's wild to think about. That's mind-blowing to me.
It definitely is. And that's why we're going through this thread, because there's so many Easter eggs in here. You guys will see as we go through each little thing, each little aspect of this, you're going to be like, oh, wow. Oh, whoa. Oh, whoa. Okay. So, all right. So the first picture is basically a screenshot of one of the paragraphs of Matthew Brown's Substack. Okay, so that Substack picture basically says, taken together, this body of evidence compels urgent questions. Who is operating these black triangles? What are they? Why are they permitted to fly with impunity over U.S. and Russian military installations? And most unsettling of all, does their ubiquitous presence signal a hidden pact between the world's great powers, or the hand of an unknown third force moving freely above them both?
Excellent question.
And I don't know who that third force could be. I could certainly speculate.
Yeah.
But who's he talking about? Okay. And then in this part of the thread, he also includes 3 more pictures, which I will be showing on the screen right now as I am speaking. And they are basically of 3 different triangular craft.
Yep. Well, you know, there's those videos going around. I don't know if they're true. I don't know if anybody's debunked them yet, but basically, I've talked about them before.
Okay, which
the
ones?
Videos of the big black triangles kind of doing or rotating slowly above the Pentagon and then above the Kremlin.
I
Moscow.
thought those were diamond shapes, not triangle shapes.
Okay, diamond shaped, triangle shaped. I mean, they're diamond shaped, but they're rotating slowly.
Diamonds and triangles are 2 different things, my love.
All right. Yeah. Well,
It's not like, okay, they're both pointy if you want to make that connection.
Okay. All right. And then, you know, Matthew Brown during the Immaculate Constellation also reported that there was another one of these objects, a triangular diamond shape, whatever you want to call it, floating above a Russian warship.
So who's flying these things? Who's operating these things? What intelligences are behind the controls?
Yeah, I don't know.
Do we know who they are? Do we know what they are? Do they know who we are and what we are? Do we have any agreements with them that are unspoken to the American public? These are all things we should be asking. These are all things we should be asking.
Right. Because if it is true, that's mind blowing if it's true.
Yep.
I don't know.
That's why we're talking about these things.
And I would rather know. I would rather it personally. I would rather be on the cautious side and pursue this seriously than to take it lightly and say, "Oh no, it's complete BS." And let's not even look at this topic, or that information.
No, we definitely need to be asking questions. We definitely need to be looking at this stuff, and I'm glad we have this opportunity to point these things out.
Absolutely. Right.
So whose craft are they? All right, that's so many questions, so many thoughts. All right, let's move on to the next one.
All right, so part 3 says, where's the data? If men in suits, in quotes, seized the USS Nimitz UAP data in 2004, why was the crew of the USS Jackson allowed to keep all theirs in 2023?
Great question.
I have an idea about that.
Oh, do tell.
Okay, so what was happening in 2004 around the time, or, maybe within the next couple years following? So 2005, 2006. What was happening that we all know about now? Bigelow Aerospace Studies was studying Skinwalker Ranch, and that was the time of Allsap and ATIP and Jay Stratton and Lou Elizondo.
Okay.
And I have a theory or suspicion that possibly maybe Jay Stratton and Lou Elizondo could be the guys in suits that went and got the data from the Nimitz encounter.
Whoa! Was not expecting you to say that. Okay.
Well, I mean, if you follow the documentary or the TV series on history called Unexplained, where Lou Elizondo was a part of that series, I believe he mentions that they traveled to the Nimitz to try to get data.
Okay, but in 2023, he wasn't in that position anymore and not available to do it.
Yeah.
But they would have had a replacement for him.
I mean, not if they didn't continue on with the program.
True.
And now it's Arrow, and yeah.
I mean, the only difference that I really saw that's, obvious right off the jump is that, in one situation you're dealing with the Air Force and then another situation you're dealing with the Navy. And that all alone raises questions. Why is one branch of the military operating and acting in such a way that is different and contrary to another branch of the military? Or maybe better way to ask that question is, why are they being treated and handled differently? Why is one branch being treated and handled differently versus another? What's up with that? I don't know.
Also, another point to make that kind of reaffirms that suspicion is, remember Admiral Tim Gallaudet? He was talking about his email that got deleted off of this super secret.
I recall that, right? Yes.
And then I believe it was, I don't know, it was maybe a month or two, or maybe not a month or two. It was a week or two, something like that. He went and had a talk at a conference. And in that talk, or that speech, or I don't know, line of questioning, I forgot what it was.
Okay.
But somehow or another, it came out that the person that deleted the email was Jay Stratton.
Oh.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people
collecting data and covering up the evidence, potentially.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So, I mean, because his big question was, who in the world would have that level of clearance to be able to delete something off of a server like that, a government server?
Okay, but
and it turned out that it was Jay Stratton.
But Jay Stratton is so pro-disclosure. So if he's so pro-disclosure, why would he be acting on the contrary?
Bingo. Good question.
All right, so apparently we're just going to have a lot of great questions and zero answers this episode. Maybe you guys can help us out in the comments. If there's something that we're missing, please let us know.
Yeah, and let me know what you think of that theory. If I'm missing the ball or if hitting the nail on the head. I mean,
process that and
it's that's all it is. It's just a theory. I don't have any information that you guys don't have.
All right, let's read the Substack picture that is included in this part of the thread.
Okay.
It says, Congress and the American public should now demand answers. Where's the rest of the data? Where are the full-color, high-definition videos of these events, and why have they not been released? And perhaps most telling of all, if the 2004 USS Nimitz encounter ended with men in suits arriving by helicopter to confiscate the data, why were the crew and command for the 2023 USS Jackson encounter allowed to retain theirs? Basically what we just said and what we just talked about. Still, again, great questions to raise. And then the series of pictures that follows are as described. The next one is showing you a craft that looks like the Tic Tac. The following picture is an aircraft carrier, which I'm assuming it's the USS Jackson. It could be a different one. I'm not sure. I didn't exactly see it like written out, but I could have missed it. And then the next picture, interestingly enough, is of the CIA building. And I think he included a picture of the CIA building because that is potentially where the data could be stored that they took from the USS Nimitz encounter. That's my theory. Okay. That's my theory. And by the way, as we go through and describe all of the pictures that are included in these different parts of the threads, I did some research of my own just to try to like gain some knowledge about what they are, why they were included, and what it all means. I could be missing things. So please, like if I'm saying something and you guys know something more about what I'm missing, please put it in the comments because this part was really, really fun for me to do, to like research all these things. However, I know I'm missing a lot and I'm not trying to pretend like I know everything because I sure shit don't. Okay. But yeah, so if you know stuff, help us out, like fill in the pieces, color in the picture for us.
Okay.
All right, move on to the next one.
All right. Okay, part 4 of Matthew's thread says, will Congress invite the Russian embassy to send a representative to speak about their historical UFO program? And then he tags the Russian consulate in D.C. And what legal authority allowed U.S. officials to block a UFO material transfer between private parties? And then he tags the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. And so I think what he's talking about here is basically how the CIA blocked the material transfer from Lockheed Martin over to Bigelow Aerospace. Mm-hmm. And George Knapp named Glenn Gaffney as one of the gatekeepers, and I think he is directly responsible for blocking that material transfer.
That makes one of the pictures make more sense to me now.
Okay. All right.
Thanks for that perspective, babe.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Substack picture reads, among the most urgent questions posed by Mr. Knapp's testimony, what legal authority allowed U.S. officials to intervene in the Bigelow-Lockheed Martin negotiation for the transfer of UFO material? Did the CIA Directorate of Science and Technology leader, Glenn Gaffney, block the transfer in his official role? And if so, can Congress compel the release of evidence related to this decision? Is there evidence of Soviet and/or Russian cooperation with China on reverse engineering TUO, which stands for Technologies of Unknown Origin, either in the past or present? And finally, will Congress invite the Russian ambassador to testify about Thread 3, Unit 73790, and the history of Russia's response to the UFO issue?
Yeah.
Okay, so we actually have an update about that Russian talking to the Americans thing. But before we do that, I want to go through the pictures. Okay, so this next picture kind of has me scratching my head a little bit because I don't understand the significance of it. This is where I need you guys to help me out. So this is a picture of the iconic historic Kalorama. I could be saying that wrong. I'm probably saying that wrong. / DuPont mansion located in Washington, D.C. And I know that you could rent it out as an Airbnb is what I researched on the internet. Maybe it's owned by the Russians. I don't really know the significance of this one.
Well, obviously, to me, it has something to do with the Russian diplomats. Okay. Maybe it's where they stay when they come. I mean, there's a Russian flag and the American flag together, so.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
That's probably why he included that, would be my guess.
Okay. All right. This next picture makes sense. This is Robert Bigelow. I don't know who that lady is that he is speaking with or what that project is behind him. However, he was named specifically, so that makes sense.
That looks like an inflatable module that Bigelow Aerospace has been working on to send up either to the International Space Station or possibly a future space station of itself. It's an inflatable module, so it's real light, and they've been working on it for a number of years.
Is this like a recent project?
Yeah, it's recent, right?
Okay.
Right. I don't think it has anything to do with UAP or any sort of exotic technologies.
Okay.
I don't know if it's significant to his picture. Probably not. He probably just shared the picture just to show Robert Bigelow. Right.
Okay. Fair enough. And then the last picture is a Washington street sign. Maybe that's where this DuPont mansion is located. I'm not sure. Again, if you guys know more than me, let me know. I find it so funny that Matthew Brown posts these things like so cash, and then we're sitting here like trying to deduce what every little thing means. I think it's so funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
And speaking of Congress, speaking with Russian officials, we have an update for you about that.
A tweet from Skywatch Signal says, U.S. lawmaker says Congress is planning UFO talks with the Russian parliament. Yes, you read that right. Rep. Anna Paulina Luna confirms she's spoken with Russian officials about sharing UFO information. During a News Nation interview, Luna told Chris Cuomo, quote, "We're looking forward to doing a bipartisan meeting with the Russian parliament here pretty soon," end quote. She added she's asked Russian officials directly if they have UFO data to share. No dates, no format or location are confirmed yet. But Luna's office already told Russia's RIA Novosti that a U.S.-Russia parliamentary meeting on neutral territory is being prepared. This comes as Luna chairs the task force on the declassification of federal secrets in Congress, the same body behind the latest UAP hearings. At that September 9th hearing, journalist George Knapp testified that the Soviet files documented years of UFO incursions and attempts to reverse engineer the technology during the Cold War.
If true, a U.S.-Russian dialogue on UFOs would be unprecedented. Formal congressional engagement with Russia has been almost frozen since the Crimea annexation back in 2014 and came to a standstill during the Ukraine invasion that started in 2022. Now, amid war and sanctions, UFOs might become the one issue both sides are willing to sit down and talk about, a potential flashpoint or the beginning of disclosure on a global scale. And then also shout out to George Knapp.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
I'm glad that if we could sit down and speak peacefully with Russia about what they know about UFOs. I mean, I can't see anything bad coming out of that.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, and it also has the benefit of potentially maybe bringing about some kind of peace between Russia and Ukraine, hopefully.
That would be a good thing. That would definitely be a good thing.
Yeah.
I think my brain is still stuck on the fact that like they've been reverse engineering this stuff since the Cold War. Meanwhile, like the government's still trying to pretend like these things don't even exist. It's like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. Right. Give it up already.
Right.
Okay, so let's get back to the thread. The fifth part reads, any close encounter between a witness and a black triangle would be of interest to the legacy program. Given the U.S. government's history of human experimentation, what was the VA doing to Dylan Borland and why? Okay. And I just want to warn you guys that this topic particularly really gets me in my feels because there's just so many foundational crimes against humanity that we're going to be talking about here. It's really hard not to get like emotionally attached to the topic that we're talking about. So I'm going to try my best to keep my shit together and keep my tears in my face.
Okay.
Just saying. All right. Okay. That Substack pic reads, as a first-hand witness on a military base in close proximity to the most enigmatic UAP types, a black triangle, Mr. Borland would almost certainly have been observed, tracked, and tagged for follow-up investigations by the clandestine legacy program. Given the documented history of the secret government programs that subjected unwitting U.S. citizens to human experimentation, Congress and the American people should ask, what was the VA doing to Dylan Borland and why?
Absolutely.
All right, let's get to the pictures.
All right. The next picture he tweeted was a DOE roadmap to where human radiation experiments took place.
Okay, there are two places on this map or two names listed on this map that stand out to me. And I feel like it's because we've heard them both mentioned a lot. The first one is Los Alamos. I can hear in my head George Knapp saying that. Like, I know he said that place particularly a million times. And then the next place that stands out to me is Oak Ridge, which for me personally became part of my UFO radar map when Matthew Brown did the first cryptic tweet back in June, because he mentioned some facilities that were on the water that could be potentially housing. Is that the right place that I'm thinking of? The one that could be potentially housing hybrid craft that are transmedium water to air, air to water?
Yeah. Okay. In Washington, D.C.
So you see, that's what I'm saying. Like those are two different places that stood out to me.
Okay.
All right, the next picture that he included is of the VA Medical Center in Buffalo, New York. So this is a Veteran Affairs hospital where U.S. military veterans go for medical treatment. And I don't really have a whole lot of nice things to say about the VA.
Okay.
I have a lot of personal stories from people in my family that have dealt with the VA, and
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Yeah. All right, so this is a picture of blood being drawn from one of the Tuskegee study subjects by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. And I think it's highly comical that this guy supposedly works for that agency, disease prevention, and he's not wearing gloves.
I don't know what year they implemented gloves being like a medical necessity, but it was clearly before this occurred.
Yeah, I mean, the picture looks really clear, but that doesn't mean that it's recent. I mean, look at those buses in the background.
That is not recent. That is from when the experiments were actually occurring.
Okay. Before we dive deeper into disclosure, let's shine a light on the dark underbelly of government trust as mentioned here by Matthew Brown. From secret experiments to engineered crisis, history shows a pattern of deliberate harm to the American people, often without remorse or accountability. So we can't help but ask, if they've done it before, what are they doing now? Given the documented history of secret programs subjecting unwitting citizens to human experimentation, Congress and the people must probe. What was the VA doing to Dylan Borland and why? Let's start with one of the most infamous betrayals as shown in this last picture.
And fair warning, like if you're not aware of any of the three examples of human experimentation done by the government, I'm going to apologize in advance and give you a trigger warning. This is pretty sensitive stuff that we're talking about. There were a lot of deaths involved in all of these scenarios, so just wanted to preface what we're about to show you with that.
Okay.
They were told they'd get treated for their bad blood. Instead, hundreds of poor black men became participants unknowingly in a shocking and truly shameful chapter of American medical history. In 1932, the United States Public Health Service launched an unethical research project to examine the effects of untreated syphilis. The project was called the Tuskegee Study because it recruited 600 black men living in Tuskegee, Alabama. Researchers told the men that they were being treated for bad blood, a term used locally to describe anything from fatigue to anemia. They promised the men free medical treatment if they participated. While 2/3 of the men in the study were confirmed to have syphilis, not one received proper treatment for the disease they had contracted.
So this was a study in which there was no consent on the part of those who were being studied, also deception on the part of the U.S. government.
When penicillin became the recommended treatment for syphilis in the 1940s, Tuskegee researchers scandalously withheld the drug from the men in the study so that they could continue to chart the course of the disease when untreated. Many patients experienced damage to their vital organs and nervous systems, and for some, the lack of treatment led to death.
The great shame of the study is that the men thought that they were being treated. Treatment was withheld from them, even after it was very clear what kind of medical treatment would cure them of syphilis.
In 1972, an Associated Press article exposed the Tuskegee study after one of the participants brought the story to a civil rights attorney. Only then, after 40 years, was the study brought to an end. The case was settled out of court for $10 million.
This long history of medical experimentation on African Americans creates a sense of distrust. A distrust of doctors and physicians, a distrust of medical care.
In 1997, President Bill Clinton formally apologized to the victims of the study. The president's apology was a welcome first step, but we still have a long way to go before the legacy of mistrust of science within the black community is fully overcome.
Wow.
I have so many things to say.
That's so wrong. Like, I had not heard of that before.
Really, you haven't?
No.
Oh. Wow. Yeah, I learned about that a few years ago when I was teaching at the last school that I was teaching at, and I just remember like being flabbergasted, just flabbergasted. Like, what do you mean? Like,
Yeah.
They did what?
Right.
Like, what? Say that again? What? Are you serious? What? They watched 400 guys die over a course of 40 years while blaming them that they had bad blood. Meanwhile, it was a disease that's curable, and they had the cure to the disease, but rather than administer the cure to the disease, they just let them suffer through it and die. And then 40 years later, want to pay them $800 for their suffering and their pain? Like, what? I just can't even, like, it's just
Just you can't even comprehend it. It's, geez.
fathomable. It's unfathomable.
Yeah.
And it's not the only example. The Tuskegee horror of denying syphilis treatments to Black men for research was not an isolated sin. It echoes in other calculated atrocities. The U.S. Army deliberately handing out smallpox-infected blankets to Native American tribes in the 1760s, a biological weapon to decimate populations and seize land. If leaders greenlit genocide by germ, what lines won't they cross today?
Imagine being handed a seemingly innocent gift, only to realize it was a weapon of unimaginable horror. In the summer of 1763, amidst Pontiac's rebellion, British soldiers at Fort Pitt devised a terrifying plan to annihilate the Lenape, Delaware tribe using smallpox-infected blankets, a calculated act of biological warfare. Trader William Trent, a key figure in this gruesome strategy, recorded the event in his diary. On June 23rd, Lenape leaders visited Fort Pitt to request provisions. Instead of providing mere supplies, Trent and British officer Captain Simeon Eckyer, under orders from General Jeffrey Amherst, gave them blankets and a handkerchief from the smallpox ward. Trent's chilling words reveal their intent. I hope it will have the desired effect. Amherst, learning of the plan, supported it fully, urging his officers to use every stratagem to decimate the Native American resistance. The brutality of this act extended far beyond the battlefield. Smallpox did not discriminate. It killed warriors, the elderly, women, and children alike. The disease spread rapidly, bringing death and suffering to entire communities. Although it remains uncertain if this specific attempt directly caused an outbreak, smallpox devastated Native American populations around Fort Pitt, already weakened by the harsh tactics of colonial forces. The deliberate distribution of infected items was intended to weaponize the disease, inflicting maximum suffering and death. This episode remains a grim testament to the depths of colonial cruelty and the catastrophic impact of European diseases on indigenous peoples. The smallpox blankets at Fort Pitt symbolize a dark chapter in history, reflecting a calculated and inhumane strategy of warfare that sought to annihilate entire communities, leaving no one, not even the most vulnerable, untouched by its horror.
Jeez.
So once again, the government steps in, smiling in people's faces, going, "Oh, you need things? Here you go. We'll help you." Meanwhile, it's something that's infected with a disease that has no discrimination and can wipe out, and did wipe out, entire populations in one swoop.
Yeah. I mean,
add that on top of the Trail of Tears. Add that on top of the fact that we're technically still, to this day in 2025, still living on stolen land. I mean,
yeah.
It's just like whack after whack after whack. It's just like, it's such an impacted insult. Again, it's one of those things that's hard for me to wrap my brain around.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to think that people would not do that type of thing today. You know, not like we would.
COVID-19. Oh, I'm so sorry. Excuse me. Did I say that out loud?
Jeez. I mean, this is heavy.
And it doesn't end here.
Okay.
Fast forwarding to the shadows of the 1980s. Declassified documents reveal the CIA's hand in flooding LA's Black communities with crack cocaine via Contra ties, turning neighborhoods into war zones to fund covert wars. This wasn't an accident. It was an engineered despair. From Tuskegee to tribal genocide to urban epidemics, the pattern is clear. Governments weaponizing harm against vulnerable people.
Rick Ross, not the rapper, but the real Rick Ross, was a drug dealer in South Central LA.
Okay.
And he couldn't even read. and he was making millions and millions of dollars. It's just a smart, smooth dude who knew how to move cocaine, but he didn't know he was moving it for the CIA.
It was so profitable to sell crack. Everybody lost their minds.
$1, $2, $3 more when a young baby mama and a daughter going broke, baby.
Increased violence, gangs, riots.
The Crips and the Bloods have swarmed eastward. The use of crack increasing quickly.
Fearlessly setting up an open-air drug market.
The reaction of mainstream America was, oh my God, we have to fix this immediately.
They worked every day to plot a new and better way to steal our children's lives.
That was right around the time the Dare came out, the egg in the skillet.
This is your brain on drugs.
Danger of crack.
Thousands of dollars in cash and firearms.
Enough is enough.
You had this proxy war going on.
A Senate investigative panel found that there were people associated with the CIA who were involved with drug trafficking. One of the motives was to raise money for the Contras in Nicaragua.
Tonight, I can report to you that we've made much progress.
It's almost hard to comprehend what might have been if not for this crack scourge that raced through Los Angeles and other major cities.
He didn't know he was moving it to fund the Contras versus the Sandinistas in Nicaragua.
Interesting.
So they lock him up. He learns how to read in jail and becomes a lawyer. And then realizes they got him on, 3 strikes, but it can't be 3 strikes in one crime. It has to be 3 different crimes, 3 different arrests.
Right.
So he got out. But that's where crack was coming from. I mean, it was our own fucking government.
I'm only laughing because I had a lot of fun making that clip. I had a lot of fun doing that. But yeah, let's get back to the seriousness of this. Okay, so it was the government that flooded LA with crack in the 80s.
Wow.
Have you noticed a pattern? Have you noticed a pattern? Specifically against brown and black communities and people and entire populations. It's so incredibly dumb. It is. I literally don't know how else to say it. It's the highest version of fuckery that you could possibly do. Whew, man. I know this is heavy. It's heavy for me to talk about. It's heavy for us to talk about. Like, this is not light mental candy to be munching on. But it is relevant, right? It is super relevant. Tuskegee's betrayal, smallpox genocide, CIA's crack epidemic. These aren't isolated incidents. They're proof the government has targeted its own for hidden agendas. When UAP whistleblower Dylan Borland flags VA misconduct, it's a red flag rooted in dark legacy. Congress and truth seekers grill the VA, protect our whistleblowers, and demand the UAP truth before it's too late. Let's woosah, shall we? Ready? Yep. Collective breath in and out.
Oh.
Okay. Let's get back to the thread.
Okay. All right. So part 6 of Matthew Brown's tweet says, love them or hate them. Washington's think tank, The Blob. And to be honest, that was new to me.
What's that name?
Yeah, I don't know who The Blob is. I never heard of that before.
Okay.
Anyway, they still set the boundaries of serious public policy. With Congress pressing disclosure, will the Blob finally treat UAP without stigma? Can think tanks lead by welcoming whistleblowers, engaging UAP without stigma, and opening their doors to new ideas?
And then he tags the Project on Government Oversight, the Atlantic Council, the Brookings Institute, the Hudson Institute, the Heritage Foundation, and a bunch of others. And as you guys know, any little tag or mention of anything means something when you're talking about a Matthew Brown tweet. Okay, so like if you want to dive deeper into this, by all means, go right ahead, report back with what you learned, because I would like to know.
Okay. All right, his Substack pick reads, his testimony raised a larger issue. Will Washington's think tanks, The Blob, finally take the UAP issue seriously? Love them or hate them, mainstream think tanks still define the boundaries of what is considered serious in Washington. Will Congress and the public press mainstream policy think tanks? Atlantic Council, BAS, Brookings, CNAS, CSBA, CSIS, Heritage, NTI, etc., to open their doors and welcome UAP whistleblowers into the halls without stigma or ridicule. Time will tell.
Okay, let's move on to the pictures.
Okay.
Before you read what it is, do you have any idea what that is?
It's a fountain in front of a building.
Okay. It is the DuPont Circle Fountain located in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
Relevance? No clue.
I mean, it's probably a part of the think tank.
Just that maybe that's where the think tank resides, or
I don't know.
Conduces business? Not
All
sure.
right. What's the next one?
Next one. Okay. Any idea what... Oh, wait. There we go. Any idea what this is?
It looks like a hotel.
It is. It is the Willard Hotel, also located in Washington, D.C. So again, maybe this is where the think tanks get together and do their thinking. I'm not sure.
So I do notice the second flag. So the first one is the American flag. The second flag, I don't know whose flag that is, but that flag was also on one of the previous pictures that we showed with the street signs, and it said evacuation route 1800, something like that.
Okay, see, I didn't even pick up on that.
Yeah, so maybe that has some kind of significance.
It probably does.
We should look up what those flags are. All right, so I just looked it up, and it turns out that that flag that looks similar to the other one that we saw is the flag of Washington, D.C. itself. So I was hoping there would be maybe some more like tidbits of juicy info, to make,
like little nuggets of information, right?
Yeah, that you could deduce.
I mean,
the flag is similar,
maybe there still is. We just don't. Maybe we just don't know enough about what we're looking at to understand it. Let's move on to the last picture, and that is just basically, and this is what I know the blob as, is the movie, the really, really old movie, the thing that like absorbs people like a big gelatin ball or something, like a big jello alien or something.
Yeah.
I didn't know that the blob was a nickname for think tanks, but then again, I don't think about think tanks, so I wouldn't know.
Right. And I mean, it's kind of interesting that they would pick that name for it, but I don't know what the significance is other than it's just a name.
Right.
All right. So part 7 says September 9th delivered the goods and left us with questions too urgent to dismiss. The public deserves answers and the pressure must not stop here. Full breakdown plus analysis in my latest Substack.
Okay, and that Substack article is called September 9th Questions Congress and the Public Cannot Ignore. And if you would like to support Matthew Brown, he actually just launched a new merch shop that you could definitely go with there and check things out. They've got everything from buttons to beanies to hoodies and hats. And the thing that I personally love the most that stood out to me was they have a car air freshener that is $7.77. And if you know anything about me, I'm obsessed with angel numbers. So I was like, hey, I think that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then links to both that Substack article and the merch shop, along with everything else that we present in the show, are in the video description box below. So if you would like to check that out, they are there for your eyes to feast upon.
Awesome.
Okay. And before we move on, I just want to share a really cute picture that Matthew Brown included at the end of that Substack article. You guys know me. I love when people get together and do stuff, and I'm like a huge sucker for pictures of people doing cute things together. Okay, so from left to right, we have Jeremy Corbell, then we have Alex Wiggins, then we have Matthew Brown himself. Closer to the front, we have Jeff Nusatelli, Dylan Borland, and then I think, I could be completely wrong, I think that might be Mrs. Borland, and I'm only saying that because she was sitting behind him during the hearing, so it looks like they came together. I don't know who she is, but I'm assuming she's his wife. I could be wrong. Forgive me if I'm not. Forgive me if I'm not. But cute picture. Love that he included this. It's clearly, them hanging out in Washington together. My question is, I wonder if that group of kids in the background knows that they were part of this like epic get together. Yeah. You think they know? They probably don't know.
Okay, guys, the hearings may not have unraveled the entire UAP enigma, but it definitely did slam the door wide open for disclosure in ways we can't ignore. What was once dismissed as fringe is now sworn testimony before Congress. Jeffrey Nusatelli, Alexandra Wiggins, George Knapp, and Dylan Borland risked it all to bring us evidence that's gone viral and is undeniable. This isn't about belief anymore. It's about oversight, accountability, and whether we're brave enough to face truths buried for decades. But those truths won't just spill out. They need you to demand them. Congress must keep digging, protect whistleblowers like never before, and force the Washington blob to follow their lead.
All right, so what do you think comes next? Will Congress dig deeper and get the answers that we all deserve? Will the mainstream and Washington blob follow the leadership shown by Congress and UAP whistleblowers? And will UAP, tech of unknown origin, and NHI be treated as real matters of national security and scientific discovery? Sound off in the comment section below and let us know. And that concludes this week's UAP Society's weekly UAP news show. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. And while you're here, please do us a favor and smash that like button, click subscribe, ring our little notification bell, drop a lovely comment down below, and share this video with your family and friends to help us spread the good word. Let's raise the collective consciousness together in unity. All right, guys. Much love, peace, and namaste.
I now recognize Mr. Nusatelli for his opening statement.
Good morning. Thank you, Chairwoman Luna, Ranking Member Crockett, and members of the task force for giving us the opportunity to testify today. My name is Jeffrey Nusatelli. I'm a former military police officer with 16 years of active duty service in the U.S. Air Force. I'm here today because the American people have both the right and the responsibility to know the truth about unidentified aerial phenomena.